Okay, let's look at a couple of other ways of doing a bar chart. So you can have stacked bar, you can have side by side bar. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and now we are still working with summarized data. Okay, later we will look at example where we will have raw data in which we have to summarize ourselves and then prepare the plots. Here we already have summarized data, so that would be like stats equal to identity. So that's the kind of graph that we are plotting. Now, all we have to do is very simple. Okay, ggplot, and then medals. That's the data set, right? And then you specify your aesthetics, AES, x equal to country, and y equal to well, value. That I skipped ahead. I missed one step that I should have done that first. So when you want stacked plot, so you need to first prepare a melted data. So melted data would be country, and then what kind of medal, and then how many medals. So this data set needs to be melted, and you melt the data set using a library reshape2. Okay, so we have to melt data, right? Set up reshape2. Okay, put that in a separate chunk, so you don't have to run that again and again and again. And then you do melted, say, let's call it melted medals, right? And then you say melt medals, okay, and then you can specify the var IDs. What columns need to be ID columns? Okay. If you don't specify an ID column, the first column will be used as the ID column. Okay, so but we can then specify a name for the ID. So if you specify that, then the name of the column will be automatically renamed as whatever you specify. Okay. So melt medals will take the first column, the country column, as the ID column, and then the rest of the columns will be converted into variable name and the value. So run that. Okay, so here the error that I have is I have an additional space here. It should be like that. Okay, so now I have melted medals, and let's go in there and see. So we have the country, and then the variable is what type of medal it is, okay, and then how many, the value. Okay, and we can change the names, right? What melted medals. Okay, so we have to say names. Okay, so we want the names of what? The second and the third column. Okay, yes. So 2 to 3. So we can say medal type and count. Well, that should be all right. So now if you go to that, you get medal type and count as the column names. Now we are ready to do the stacked plot. So X is country, so that's that. all right, and then the y value, the height of the bars must be count, and do I have count uppercase C for count, so that should be that, and then now all fill is the property that we need to use. Okay, if you say fill equal to the metal type, okay, which is that, so that's what will be filled up in the stacks. So metal type, right? And then you specify what kind of plot we want, which is geom bar. Okay, and of course we need to specify, since this is an already summarized data set, we have to say stat equal to identity. So I should be plotting melted metals, not just metals. So this should be melted metals. Okay. So then, okay. So now we have the stacked bars, and a legend for stacked bars is automatically generated. Okay. So now, of course, the names are getting mushed up here, squished. So we have already done this before. So what we have to do is, okay, I'm going to copy paste that part of the plot. Okay, so I'm going to plot these two lines and then make the necessary changes that we want. So here a plus. Okay, so this is good. Now label. Okay, so here is the thing. When you do labels, you don't have to. Okay, you don't have to say, if you say bronze, there is no column called bronze in this data set. And we have defined the AES at the very first step. So this AES will get propagated to the rest of the elements of the plotting command. So we can simply say AES label equal, instead of bronze, you should say count. Okay. Now that's going to put the count, and it gives a slant to the x-axis values, and the problem is this vertical justification is not very good, so you have to play with it a little bit and then see whether you are able to get better sense. So let's say V justification text just V just. Okay, so there is one more thing we have to do, which is position equal to stack. So then it will print the value labels in each of the stacks. Okay, so now it. Okay. So up to this point, I mean, this is what is going to be different. Well, actually, even that is same as before. and the rest of the lines are very similar to what we had done previously. Okay. Now, the next plot is side by side. Instead of stacking, you want to put them side by side. So, there is one little change we have to make. So, let us go ahead and copy that. Okay, and put it here. Okay. So, now what we need to do, well, here we should have given a title. So, geom GG title, not geom, GG title, right? Medals by country. Okay, and put a plus after that. So that will give you the title. So let's okay. So here it is. Okay, and we'll use the same title here for side by side. Okay. Now, for side by side, what we have to do is, okay, when you give a fill type, okay, different color will be used based on the metal type. For gold, you'll get one color, silver another color, fill color. Okay, and then the values will, the default is the values will be stacked one on top of another. Which is the position. So, position, okay, we have to say position dodge. Okay, so that will put the bars, okay, side by side. Okay. Now, that's going to mess up your value labels, and that's because we have geom text, right, value labels as position is stack. So, we need to take that off. So, and then you have to do some adjustments with H adjust not adjust, H just. Okay. Okay, so we have to play with these numbers a little bit to make it appear nice. So, I'm not going to spend time on that now.